On December 4, 1983, Flight AA-219 suddenly vanished from radar over the Arctic during one of the harshest winter days. On board that day were 150 passengers and crew members, each with their own story, hopes, and dreams. The last message from the aircraft's captain was received at 11:47 p.m. A desperate cry for help cut off mid-sentence. "We've hit severe turbulence. Altitude 10,500 meters, engine 1 and 4 have failed, requesting emergency." The connection abruptly ended, leaving behind the echo of an unsolved mystery. 7 search planes and 3 icebreakers spent 450 exhausting hours combing the area, but no trace was found. For 40 years, the mystery remained buried under ice, as if guarded by nature itself, until January 2024, when a military satellite accidentally detected a metal object hidden in the Arctic Circle's ice. Alarming satellite images revealed an unnatural shape within the ice, raising doubts about the anomaly's natural origin. Dr. James Landon had been preparing for this expedition for 15 years. Every day of his life was devoted to one goal: finding Flight AA-219. His team consisted of the elite of polar researchers: Sarah Collins, a meteorologist with 20 years of experience in polar regions and special training at NASA; Mike Thornton, a former aviation accident investigator from the NTSB with Antarctic experience; Emily Chen, a forensic expert famous for solving the ice mummy case in Greenland; and Robert Walsh, a retired Navy SEAL with 10 years of Arctic missions. These individuals were surrounded by legends and whispers of their abilities. Some said they could survive even on the moon if needed. 12 technicians, 3 doctors, and a group of ice specialists joined the core team, creating a perfectly coordinated mechanism for the most challenging expedition of their careers. Each team member was not just a professional, but a true pioneer ready to face the unknown and the unbelievable. The expedition transported 84 tons of equipment to the suspected crash site using 3 C-130 transport planes. The camp was set up with military precision. Within 18 hours, 6 insulated living modules were installed, 3 satellite antennas were assembled, and 2 200-kilowatt diesel generators were activated. The technical setup seemed capable of withstanding the harshest conditions of the Arctic wilderness. The cold penetrated every metal component, as if testing whether the equipment could function in the kingdom of eternal ice. 4 reconnaissance drones equipped with experimental deep scanning radars created a detailed 3D map of a 5-square-kilometer ice field in the first 48 hours. During rare moments of rest, the drone operators exchanged grim looks, fully aware that a scene of real tragedy lay beneath the ice. At dawn on the 3rd day, weather conditions became a true test. Thermometers showed -42 degrees Celsius. The wind strengthened to 18 meters per second, and visibility dropped to 200 meters. It seemed as though the Arctic itself resisted human intrusion, erecting insurmountable barriers. Early that morning, a drone operator spotted the first signs of a metallic structure. Soon, the ground team reached the designated point and saw the tail of the plane protruding from the ice at a 40-degree angle. Radar scans revealed the fuselage extended 27 meters into the ice. Extracting the plane was a remarkable engineering feat. A unique controlled thawing system, TS-4000, was deployed. 20 thermal elements placed around the excavation site melted ice at a rate of 3 centimeters per hour. Every 15 minutes, a computer recalculated the load on the ice structure. 8 hydraulic supports held the walls to prevent collapse. It was not just a technical operation, but a true battle between humans and the Arctic elements. When the ice cracked, the sound was like thunder, and everyone's heart froze at the thought of a possible disaster. After several hours, the first team of researchers entered the aircraft through the emergency exit above the left wing. The cabin temperature was minus 38 degrees Celsius, turning the interior into a perfectly preserved time capsule. Each researcher was equipped with utmost precaution. 2 oxygen tanks and the latest generation thermal imaging cameras, resembling astronauts landing on an unexplored planet. Along the aisle lay fragments of bags and gloves, as if someone had desperately tried to cling to fading hope. The next discoveries left the team paralyzed with emotion. Frozen cups of coffee on tray tables, as if time had stopped at the moment of the crash. Open magazines on seats, their pages frozen in eternal stillness. A child's doll lying in the aisle between seats 32D and 32E. A silent witness to the tragedy. One of the engineers couldn't hold back tears upon seeing an open children's book with clumsily drawn suns and houses. The image of his own daughter immediately flashed before his eyes. In the front section, evidence of a desperate struggle for survival was found. In the business class cabin, passengers had built a makeshift shelter using 47 life jackets and 12 suitcases, a true testament to human ingenuity in the face of inevitable death. A calendar with marked dates was found on a bulkhead, the last entry reading December 23, 1983. A diary belonging to flight attendant Mary Parker, discovered in seat 14A, contained detailed accounts of the first 18 days after the crash, a chronicle of courage and despair. The diary revealed that of the 150 people on board, only 72 survived the first night. Captain David Harrison established strict rationing, 100 grams of food and 200 milliliters of water per person per day. Flight Doctor John Mitchell provided first aid to 23 injured people using 6 first aid kits and improvised materials. Every bandage and medication could mean the difference between life and death. The diary described how, at minus 50 degrees Celsius, even a small scratch could become a dangerous wound, and a single drop of water spilled on clothing could be a death sentence. The expedition's work was suddenly interrupted by the loud crack of ice. Scanners detected the movement of a large object near the excavation site. Through the dense blizzard, the team saw an enormous polar bear nearly 3 meters tall, a true Arctic giant. She was followed by 2 cubs the size of adult wolves. Robert Walsh immediately activated 4 acoustic deterrents tuned to a frequency of 35 Hz. However, the bears behaved unexpectedly. The female methodically inspected the perimeter of the excavation, sniffing every new piece of equipment with primitive caution and curiosity. The older cub showed particular interest in the generators, coming very close to them. The younger one stayed behind, carefully observing the humans from a nearby ridge of ice, like a small scout studying strangers. When a camera flash illuminated the cub's face, it simply blinked, took a few hesitant steps, and then froze again, watching the uninvited guests. Meanwhile, the scientific expedition continued its tense work. On the 12th day of excavations, the team finally reached the cargo hold. Temperatures had dropped to minus 53 degrees Celsius, causing failures in 2 main hydraulic systems. Late in the evening, an 80-ton ice slab suddenly shifted. The ice cracked with a terrifying roar, nearly swallowing one of the rescuers, but the team managed to pull him out by his hood. However, 6 people were trapped between unstable ice walls and open space. At this critical moment, the bear, still nearby, led her cubs away, clearing the path for the humans to escape, as if some higher natural instinct had acted more precisely than any human strategy. The black box was found at a depth of 24 meters. Despite severe damage to its casing, the data recorder was mostly intact. The decrypted recordings revealed a dramatic picture of the flight's final seconds. At 11:42 p.m., the plane entered a zone of extreme turbulence, with external temperatures dropping to minus 64 degrees Celsius, causing instant engine icing. The data allowed experts to reconstruct the last minutes of the flight. On the day of the crash, the plane encountered an extreme jet stream with temperatures near minus 60 degrees Celsius. Engine icing caused their failure, and the overload at 10,500 meters made recovery impossible. Pilots struggled to stabilize the aircraft, but the turbulent conditions caused an aerodynamic stall, sealing their fate. Experts concluded that unusual weather activity in December 1983, including sudden temperature drops and strong air currents, played a key role in the disaster. Over the course of 3 weeks, the research team encountered 14 major technical issues. In the extreme cold, standard equipment often failed to function. Engineers had to practically reinvent the machinery, modifying generators, installing 8 additional thermal insulation screens, and improving the heating system for hydraulic fluid, which consumed 40% of all generated energy. Every kilowatt was precious. The presence of the polar bear family forced the team to radically revise their safety protocols. 12 infrared cameras were installed around the perimeter of the camp, and 3 thermal imaging devices monitored the slightest animal movements around the clock. Robert Walsh developed a signaling system. A short whistle warned of approaching bears, while a double whistle signaled an immediate halt to all work. Every action was calculated down to the millimeter. Late at night, when the wind fell to an eerie silence, the team stared into the white void, trying to detect the shadow of the curious mother bear sliding across the ice. During the final week of the expedition, the behavior of the bears left the researchers baffled. The mother began bringing her cubs closer to the camp, spending 3 to 4 hours observing the team's work. The older cub had learned a safe route between the generators, moving without alarming the technicians. Cameras captured several instances where the bears appeared to help identify dangerous ice sections, acting like silent guides through the polar expanse. At times, it even seemed that the bears were somehow connected to the tragedy of Flight AA-219, silently pointing out the dangers hidden in the eternal ice. Before their departure, the team collected an enormous amount of data: 842 high-resolution photographs, 156 hours of video footage, and 1,300 terabytes of information from sensors and radars. The black box contained 2 hours and 18 minutes of cockpit recordings and technical data. Diaries and personal belongings of the passengers filled 24 specialized containers, each one a time capsule preserving the memory of human lives. On the final morning, with the temperature plunging to an incredible minus 58 degrees Celsius, something inexplicable happened. The mother bear brought her cubs almost to the main module. They watched as the equipment was loaded for 2 hours, motionless, cautious, but showing no signs of aggression. Shortly after lunch, helicopters began evacuating the team. The last glance at the excavation site revealed a striking image. 3 white figures stood on the edge, the bears bidding farewell to the uninvited guests who had disturbed their 40-year solitude. Dr. Landon couldn't shake the strange feeling that they were not just researchers, but unwilling participants in an ancient Arctic drama. The investigation into Flight AA-219 made a significant contribution to understanding the dangers of flying in extreme latitudes. The results of the expedition prompted a revision of aircraft operating protocols in polar regions. Technologies developed from the data retrieved from the flight are expected to prevent numerous accidents in the coming decades. The mystery of Flight AA-219 was finally solved, but how many more secrets lie hidden within these silent, frozen lands?